Behold, the cold open.
Okay, so we are basically debuting what has become very naturally a reoccurring segment, which I have called We Believe This Now. It's when we find cool facts on the internet, like about how giants are real, and we accept them into our lives wholeheartedly and without question. And
Yeah, it used to be that when I was presented with new information, I would consider the source. I would try to find corroboration. That's so much goddamn work.
what if giants were there, easier to do?
Yeah, it's very easy. We believe it now. It enriches our lives. It makes us become smarter because not a lot of guys know this.
Correct. And we have a new thing we believe.
Yeah, we saw a post from a real genius. Post says, "Y'all not ready for this conversation." And normally I hate posts like this, but he's right. Most people are not ready for this conversation because it's a picture. Basically, let me explain this to you. What if the pyramids were just the tops? You know the pyramids in Egypt?
Yeah.
What if that was just the top?
Right,
what if they went down?
Yeah, they
like,
extended
far?
very far, underground skyscrapers.
And when we say ground,
the ground we know is really only sort of like the second ground.
Yeah, and it's being held up by the pyramids. The tops are poking out.
Yeah.
But like they're the support beams of the ground to make sure it doesn't fall down to the real ground underneath.
Right. And this makes sense like why no one would know this, because like when the eggheads get in there, the archaeologists, well, they want to get to the top of the pyramid because maybe there's like a mummy head in there.
Yeah,
they don't think to dig down.
They don't. They straight up don't. If they did, they would find that it's the pyramids are the tops. That's really the takeaway here. The pyramids, that's just the tops.
Yeah, we believe this now.
We believe it. And I was so happy to believe a new thing, but then I uncovered a devastating truth when I looked into... I know I said I shouldn't consider the source. Don't do it. It's a waste of time. But I was like, who posted this? It's a guy at Eastern Goblin on Twitter. And I'm like, who's this fucker? And actually, here's what I thought it was. I thought it was like we had found a new Divine Brienne, and I was going to learn some more facts, like how Divine Brienne both told us about giants, and also that there's a man on TikTok who levitates every day.
Every day. I believe her. I haven't seen it, but every fucking day.
You don't need to check because it's always, like, anytime you do get around to checking, he will have levitated that day. So, like... no rush.
What's the point?
Exactly. Anyway, I think I was trying to go for one of these, and I discovered a truly terrifying thing, which is that it seems like Eastern Goblin is like a jokey guy. He's like a comedy guy who's telling jokes. And that made me think that perhaps this isn't a real thing about the pyramids, and it's just a joke.
I see how you could think that. You've got that from looking at his feed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we know from experience that people speaking their message and then getting disappeared is pretty good evidence that whatever they said was correct, right?
Yeah. That's how we know that the giants are real, because then the TikTok man died.
Yeah,
they got him.
Yeah, and that's what happened to this guy. He's gone.
What?
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone. What do you mean? He's like his whole account?
Yeah, they got him.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. This is really good because for a second there, I didn't want to lose hope about the pyramids and about how they're the tops, because they are. I was really scared for a second, but now okay. So this is funny because I'm actually looking at our episode document and I have the link to the tweet. So,
yeah, so when I'm going to click it, you're
this.
going to get the 404. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So oh wow. Okay. So this is something that's really interesting. The account's it's up and the post is there and you're wrong. On all accounts.
So this is the Mandela effect.
Okay. They used the gun that makes the timelines diverge, and they put us in a gaslighting
to make
dimension.
me wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Which now that I know that, it makes you more right.
Yeah. So let's recap our belief system. Giants exist,
mm-hmm.
And people are drawn to them due to their sexual charisma.
Yeah.
Pyramids are just the tops of the
They're
obelisks.
just the tops.
They're just the tops.
And you know what's the real important thing about them being the tops? They're holding up the ground. Because if they weren't the pyramids, you know who would have to hold up the grounds? Giants.
Yeah.
And when they're going to Egypt to get to the critical point that you have to hold up the whole, it's like
the load-bearing column of Earth is in Egypt. It just
there's no the Giants don't live in Egypt. They have to walk there. So many people are going to be seeing them throwing themselves at them sexually. They're never going to show up. They're going to be too busy. They're being mobbed by amorous admirers. The ground's going to fall. So the pyramids, they're so critical. They're so critical.
Yeah. And you can see why they go together. And this isn't just crank shit.
Yeah. We're so smart. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anime Sickos. It's the podcast for geniuses and the only podcast where we talk about giants and the pyramids. I'm Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
We also talk about anime game posting and jobs. I realized that, I always assume that everyone listening is, a lifer, but, someone might listen to this for the first time and be like...
No, someone might think we're a Giants podcast.
Well, they'd be right, but we also talk about those other things. What we're going to talk about today, a lot of people have been gassing up Nintendo these last few years on account of their extremely successful Nintendo Switch console, on account of Zelda, the new Zelda that's going to come out soon. You can stick you can stick your sword onto a rock and have a rock sword. You can put a mushroom on your shield and have a mushroom shield. You can group things together.
Is that a thing? Is that I've not followed it all.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, we'll talk offline. But yes, that's the new gimmick: is that you can goop stuff together. You can Lego
bungee
things.
gum. You can bungee gum.
Yes, dude. You got bungee. You have the properties of rubber and gum are in Link's purview now. Anyway, everyone's talking about Nintendo, what a company. No one does it like them. There's no open world game that gives you bungee gum. What a great company. Well, I got a bone to pick with them because what they are doing something which I believe is tantamount to a crime against humanity, which is they're no longer producing DS type items. And I believe it is a public service on par with there being tap water.
There should be a DS at all times.
At all times.
At all times.
If Bernie had won in 2016 or 2020, really at any time, everyone would be issued a DS Lite in the mail.
It would give everyone a new small talk topic at work. You could talk about what you're playing on your government-issued DS.
Yeah. The fact that a DS is not in everyone's hands, the fact that to have a DS means you have to go on the resale market and purchase an ever-dwindling amount of functioning DSs, the prices of which only increase, is so fucked.
Right. They're
no
$900. Good. They're implicated in crimes.
My 2DS that I use has 1,000 photos from these two young teens who previously owned it, it's them clearly trying to take screenshots, not realizing that they're taking front-facing camera photos, because the other half are all just Animal Crossing New Leaf screenshots.
When the 2DS came out, I was like, why? What is this for? Now I wish I bought 100 of them. I wish I slept in a big tub of them.
They're the most crucial resource on Earth. People are always like, actually, there's a shortage of helium. We were going to run out of helium, and you don't know how critical helium is for a lot of really critical processes.
It's not nearly as critical as having a DS that gets new games on the regular.
For real. Shut up, nerd. I'll deal with helium once the bigger problem, DS, is dealt with. So here's the thing about the DS. You might be thinking, Tom, why are you going on and on about this? Don't
you
know?
emulate everything? Don't you talk about how you can get any fucking game on any device? An Ambernick, for example.
This is true, but
the fucking problem is that it sucks to emulate a DS because it is a form factor that is stupid on anything but it.
yes, I tried. Okay, I wanted to play before I had my 2DS. I didn't want to buy a 2DS used because they're extremely expensive because they're not making any more of them.
And there's still going to be cum on it.
Gross. So I'm like, you know what? I want to play the Dragon Quest games 4 through fucking like 9 are all on the DS, basically. Like 7 and 8 for PlayStation 2, but they're on the they remastered them for the DS. The real version is DS. And so I'm like, I'll emulate a Dragon Quest 4 on the DS on my TV. Now, Joe, I have a big TV on account of I tried to play Disco Elysium on my previous TV, which I would have called a big TV, but turns out that the text is baby small because my TV wasn't big enough. So I bought a big TV. It's big as shit. You know, you've seen it.
It rules that buying a big TV lets you play the communist game better.
It does. Poor communist game. But I tried to emulate Dragon Quest IV on my 65-inch TV, and the way that shit happens is you have to have the screens vertical because, like, it's all one picture. The bottom screen and the top screen show, like, the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how big your fucking screen is. If you want to have 2 emulated screens on top of each other, it's so fucking small that you can't read a single word. It's unplayable. They're also always flickering. There is no good DS emulator. You just can't do it.
Also, one of them is a touchscreen, which is another input issue.
Yeah, you have to like have a controller and a mouse. It's such a piece of shit. And like, okay, you might be further thinking, like, okay, so the DS with its 2 screen, who cares? If you want to have a handheld gaming experience, can you not be content with the Switch? You can pick that up. That becomes a handheld experience. The Steam Deck's a handheld gaming experience. The Anbernick's also a handheld gaming experience. These people who would say this, these hypothetical people, I hope none of them are you, listeners, because how dare you? If you can't see at a glance the incredible benefits that the DS specifically gives you, then how dare you?
The DS had so many perfectly serviceable, like, B+ games.
Yes.
We need to bring that back. We need to bring jobs back. We need to bring B+ DS games back. For instance, Tom, I sent you a link to just a completely fucking generic looking video game called Monster Tale. This was on the original DS.
I'm looking at the cover of it. It looks like clip art. It's so bad.
This is such a solid Metroidvania that also has a Pokemon element in it. Like, it is a completely solid game. Like, it is wonderful. Like, but you would never play it because it looks like clown shit. It looks like clip art. It looks like shovelware. But it's cool. Like, you have a monster, as you might imply. So you're like this girl. You're this girl Metroidvaniaing around, and you can like evolve your creature to fight and do other things like familiars in Castlevania. And it's just nice. It's just good. And this is what's very important. And this is why the DS has to exist. Is we like Metroidvanias, right, Tom?
We do. I sure do. I love them.
Yeah. We had a period in our life where we were playing Metroidvanias, and then there was a second screen that had the fucking map. That's gone.
You have to press a button to make the map show up, and you have to look at the map, figure out, based on the map information that you're looking at, what you're going to do, close the map, remember what you just thought.
It's gone the minute the menu went away. Like the Bloodstained, that Igvania, that's on everything. Like, that's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good. It has like the same soul system that was from stealing enemy abilities from the DS games. But the map is on the menu, man. So like, I am spending 100% of the time constantly checking the map because I'm an idiot.
There's like no. I remember when people were not sure about the DS when it was just announced, especially because when it was just announced, the initial design was the ugliest piece of shit of all time, and then they made the DS Lite, which was the perfect item. But it was the ugly piece of shit, and a lot of people were like, "Why would a game need 2 screens?" I guess some games with that might use it as a gimmick, but like a normal game would never need 2 screens. This
Wrong.
is a dumbass's opinion, because any game, have you ever played a game where there's like a map or a menu of any kind? Yeah, like all of them, right? What if it was just always there?
Just put it there. The 0 IQ, absolutely no creativity move of just throwing the menu on the bottom screen is such a quality of life improvement. And the thing is, you can get too clever, I think, with the touchscreen shit sometimes. Because there's that one Castlevania game where, like, in order to kill a boss, you had to draw a very stupid sigil. That's too clever by half. Just give me a map.
The thing is, okay, this is where Nintendo really struck gold with the DS, because they love to do this silly shit with their hardware, where they make it so crazy and gimmicky. And they have to know that no matter how much potential is in that gimmick, that like 2/3 of the people making games for it are going to do the low IQ first thought use case, because like it's like, I'm at work, I'm crunching, like I don't have time as a fucking developer to be really clever with how to use this gimmick. I'm just gonna do like the basicest thing,
especially when you're shipping trash as fast as possible.
Exactly. And so you want to make a gimmick that when you use the dumbest possible, least creativity utilization use case of it,
it still kind of schmoves. You're like,
yeah!
Imagine the laziest use case. Does it make your life better? Oh, baby, you've struck gold.
Yeah, the Wii had great games that used the motion controls that you can't replicate the experience without them. It also had a lot of games where it just, like, you used it to fucking do the menu and it sucked, or you like shook it to do something you could just press a button for and it sucked. And it's just like, I wish that this wasn't doing Wii shit.
Let's not forget the speaker, which made the worst sounds that have ever been made for video games, come out of those little suckers.
When you picked Meta Knight, the by far worlds ahead of everyone else best character in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, your little Wiimote out of its awful speaker would say, "Come." Remember that? Remember he said "come"?
Yeah. So DS doesn't say "come."
It does not say "come." I dare you to make the DS say "come." Don't do it. I bet you could. These hackers out there.
It's actually very easy, because many of the games involve writing. You would just write "come."
Oh no, Joe. I'm not gonna linger on this too much, but that game Monster Tale that you cited, that's $194 on Amazon.com.
The fucking aftermarket, every collectible hobby is so fucked. It's just COVID ruined everything, because people started hoarding things they previously were only letting nerds hoard.
It's awful. I briefly mentioned on fucking Twitter, like I didn't go to the record store because for like the last 2 years my house has been such that there's nowhere to put my record player. But we reorganized, and now there is somewhere to put my record player. So I got my record player out, and I'm like, I'm gonna go sell these records I don't listen to and buy some new ones. And I went to the record store. All that shit's $30 fucking now. Oh no, I hate it.
Do you know how much like bullshit on Steam I can buy for $30 that I'll never play? Way more. Way more. I already have most of that music on a streaming service where they exploit the artists.
Yeah. I bet that most of that $30 isn't going to the artists anyway. Another thing is that those $30 that I would spend on Steam are going to be spent buying indie Metroidvanias, where the map is again on a different button. You know what it's like, Joe? I remember when I got my second monitor. My sister got it for me when I was in college, and it was for my birthday or Christmas. She got me a monitor, and I'm like, thanks, I guess. I don't know what I'll really use this for. And she's like, I was once like you. Just try it, and you'll know how good a gift this is. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And well, would you believe that as soon as I did it, as soon as my capabilities rose, my needs grew to fill my capabilities. And I was like, and I now cannot imagine using a computer without a second monitor. To do so makes me wish to vomit. That's what the DS is like. Like, it's just so much better to have a fucking second screen.
Can I provide related evidence that's not
Yes,
100% DS related, but I think it's proof that the form factor is timeless, it's a genius move, etc., etc. You're talking about your 2-monitor setup. So for my work computer, I have since changed my setup to have the laptop on the bottom, and then I just have the other monitor directly above it, effectively making a big-ass DS. And, dude, it's 100% better than side-by-side because it's so much faster to look up and down really quickly to quickly check something than it is to have, like, this fucking left-right space.
That's true. Fucking Christ, you did make a DS. You know what's another thing about the DS, and this is actually sort of goes with what I spoke about how the fucking Monster Tail is $200? This is something that Nintendo did that was really kind and generous for the people, and that they need to bring back. It's why that DS needs to be a public good that is just provided to everyone free of charge, is that stealing was effortless.
I do think some of my like most cherished gaming experiences, and I don't mean like oh, this game was really good. I just mean like a constant churn of quality gaming time was when I was in college and I had a supercar and a DS Lite and I was on the train or the bus all the fucking time. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it was great because we were doing the supercar yoinking, and the games would get ported to that, like usually before the actual release, which is pretty funny. And then I remember they started doing like anti-piracy things, so it's like the game was programmed to check if it's running off a standard card or not, and then they patched that out anyway. But it's true. There was just a constant churn of DS games. Yes, there was some shovelware, but like it was like it reminded me of like the PS2 average quality, where it was just like solid. Like a lot of stuff that's coming out is just solid.
Yeah, and that's actually something that's been missing from the gaming sphere lately. That the DS, if there was a proper DS presence in gaming and it was being treated like the necessity that it is, we wouldn't have had this issue, which is AAA games are getting impossible to make. It's so fucking hard to make them. In order to make a AAA game, you need to have crazy budgets and incredibly huge staff of very specialized labor. Because
not only that, but you like it seems like it's now part of the process that you have to get out there and just absolutely overpromise a bunch of shit and then turn around to your workers and be like, uh-oh!
Yeah, because, I mean, if you're trying to be a like a blockbuster game that's going to make billions of dollars, like, you need to, like, be like, okay, we can't leave any stone unturned. Like, this needs to be, like, a truly, like, world-shaking product, which, like, that's too much pressure to put on anyone's shoulders. And no one's going to be able to hack that. This is why we went from having a new Final Fantasy every year and a half to having a new Final Fantasy every 10 years, and they have to have fucking photorealistic graphics. Everything has to look perfect. Everything has to
drive a car at a regular, realistic speed, which is a choice I don't love.
I never played that one. I'm still playing 10 now. And they also, these games have to be so safe, you know? They have to be everything to all people. Like, if you're going to go for a mass market, you have to know, like, well, what is going to be safe for the mass market? Now, what happens on the DS is if, say, Joe, what if there's 5 guys in Japan and their programming skills are pretty bad, and they have an idea for a game that's sort of half-baked, and they're just like, well, we don't have a bunch of people here to hammer it out. We don't have a lot of people to consult. We are 5 guys, but we think that this idea, we can think of like a couple of good levels for it. Let's bang it out and release it on the DS. And you know what, Joe? You could just do that. And they did.
In a just world. Like, you should be able to just upload to the eShop, which is now defunct. You know how like malls are like decaying all across America? That's how I feel about the Nintendo DS eShop.
I mean, they shut it down completely.
Yes, they did. Also, to your point about AAA games, yes, there have been like big-ish games on the DS, but part of what I love about it as the platform is I'm like picking it up and I'm like, this is gonna be fine. Like I don't have like expectations that it's gonna change me forever, but I'm just like, this is gonna be a pretty good, solid diversion. Let me put this another way. I have never been overhyped on a DS game.
Yes, correct. Yes. There is just the DS by its nature creates a library of games that has an unprecedented ratio of solidness. Just both in the quantity and the quality. Like I'm thinking about like Rhythm Heaven. Like that game you can't that's just tip tapping on the fucking screen in rhythm. Yes. And like that is a game that you could make with again 5 guys in 6 months. If you are making a game with 5 guys in 6 months, the best you can do is put it on Steam and there's only one screen. Boo! Give me 2 of those fuckers.
All these $2 action roguelikes that are over in 10 minutes. Friends, what if there was one on the DS? Can you imagine what wonders on that second screen could be shown to you? You could be looking at stats, damage over time. Like maybe it could be like you have dealt this much damage in damage over time effects, and then maybe it should show your health too. Yeah, that would be really sick.
Or if nothing else, be like Pokemon, where you just get to rub on your badges till they're shiny.
That's good. If you just have like obsessive tendencies and you're worried that they're not clean enough.
I mean, you could look at them if they're not clean. It's like, well, I mean, I got time. Now they're clean. Fucking Christ. Okay. So here's something I thought of. There's this fucking guy on Twitter, I think Head Falls Off, @HeadFallsOff. This guy has some video game opinions now and again. He said something to the effect of like, how come they're not making any classic style pixel Final Fantasies at Square Enix? The budget to make one of those is minuscule. Right. All the people who made like Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6, like all the leads, are still employed at Square Enix.
I assume they were dead.
You would think that on account of they don't make none of them games anymore. Why are they not? Like, why? Okay, I understand you want Final Fantasy to be the big tentpole series. I get it. So, like, Final Fantasy 16, it has to be a huge, mega ambitious, AAA, good graphic game. Fine. I'm not going to fight you on that. But maybe, like, 9 months after that, you release Final Fantasy 17, which is just a fucking pixel art 2D RPG on the DS. Like,
yeah, they don't have to go an increasingly graphic intensity. You know, Mega Man did this. Mega Man went back down to the 8-bit Mega Man, and it was awesome.
Like, the thing about the AAA graphics is that, like, once you've seen, like, graphics that are, like, really realistic, you're like, oh, shit, that's impressive, amazing. And then the next time you see it, it's like, well, yeah, that's the same. Because the thing about realistic look, Joe, is that, like, real only looks one way.
It sucks shit. It's real. I see it all the time. I hate
it. Like, I can see graphics, AAA game graphics that are, like, legitimately the most technically impressive fucking 3D modeling that's ever been done. And I know, I don't care. And then I see an effect on the DS where, like, there's a 3D model that is like spinning as pixel art guys walk around it, and I'm like, that is now this is the most impressive thing I've ever seen. Because like it's whatever you used a supercomputer to make a person look very real, and you animated their face with mocap. Wow. But this guy, did you see what this motherfucker got out of a DS?
He's doing this basically with shadow puppets, light in his hands. All those like former leads should get put on fun projects on a 2-screen device. It needs to happen because this system The DS also had all the Entrant Odyssey games, which were these wonderful dungeon crawlers that straight up don't work unless you have a second screen because you need that fucking map down there.
It's like one of those first person maze walkers. Where
yes,
you're walking. Okay,
Japanese people love those. Like they're big into the Wizardry 8s, and it's one of those. It's very hard and obtuse, and there's like no story because it's like Oregon Trail in the sense that you pick everything. So it's not like there are specific references to characters. It's just like we're a team of guys.
The story is like go do the game.
Yeah, go down the stairs. That's the story.
Yeah, there's a maze full of monsters. Doesn't that sound fun?
And I really like those games. I think they put 3 of them, and then they started remaking the original ones on the 3DS with either like obviously better graphics, but like classes from other Entrant Odyssey games and stuff like that. And it's one of those games where you can have subclasses. Oh baby. Anyway, all of this is to say, I really like these games, but I have not pursued and have not been able to get into one of these games unless it's in this fucking form factor. Grimrock Legends, is that what it's called? Or something? There's some similar thing like that. Like, I beat that game. That's a first person, like, sort of tactical dungeon crawler, but it was like pulling teeth because it's supposed to be in a little book.
Yeah. I remember I played Phantasy Star 1. I did not emulate that because everything said that if you're playing Phantasy Star 1, the only option that is not going to make you kill yourself and go insane is playing the remaster on the Switch, because it does a lot of things. It like speeds up the game by like 4 times. So you just walk and all the animations are faster. And it doesn't seem fast, so the original game must have just been like torturous. It also like doubles the experience and money from every enemy you beat, which again, it doesn't feel like you get very much, so the original must have been torturous. But most importantly, all the dungeons in Phantasy Star 1 are, would you believe, first-person maze dungeons. And like for the time, because this was on like 1989 on the Genesis, so the fact that there was like first-person mazes in like 3D that like had smooth animation as you walked through them was incredible from a technical level. However, it all looks fucking identical. There's literally 0 landmarks in these fucking mazes. So the only, and I'm not using maze lightly. Like, it is a labyrinth and you can get lost and there's only one way out. So if you're not drawing on graph paper every step you take and making sure you remember where your guy is, you're going to be in there for 1,000 years.
And if I could just cut in, the second screen on the Entrant Odyssey games is that graph paper.
Yes. Oh, on the Switch, what it does is it has the game of Phantasy Star in like a square on the side, and then on the bottom right there's another square where it's filling in that shit. And it's the only way the game is playable is because it's filling in the map as you're going through the maze. However, it looks like shit because it just looks like it looks like I have opened a bunch of little windows on my one monitor. And I'm just like, why do I have one monitor when I clearly need 2? Give me my second screen, you fuckers.
And we are living in sort of a golden era of emulation. I'll give us that, because there's cheap Chinese goods that put a bunch of stolen Marios on there. It's real easy. Yeah. And I know we've sang the praises of the Game Boy-esque Ambernico, but now the Steam Deck's been out for a while, and it's obviously a very good emulation machine. Like, you can put pretty much anything on it because it's got like juice.
Yeah. It's like it can run Cyberpunk 2077, obviously on low, like a very specific set of settings. But like,
playable,
if you can do that, but if you can do that, you can play all that other fucking retro shit. Play PS3 games, no problem. And so it's like, okay, this must be. How can you still say that the DS is needed when we have this golden age of emulation and handheld gaming on our hands? Well, here's the thing.
The Steam Deck is a Game Gear ass device.
It's got a big butt.
I hate using it on an airplane. Like, how do I put this? Like, I'm an adult. I don't give a shit what people like see me doing, like on a plane with like reasonable expectations of privacy, but like there's something about that big honking Steam Deck.
Yes. I know exactly what you like. I brought it with me.
It's like I'm taking out a VHS machine.
Yes. Okay, it feels like when you take it out, it's so honking that like the process of taking out all this shit, you like. It feels like if someone next to you like pulled out like a big Bunsen, like a science class flask and like put it on and it's like, what is he gonna do with that shit? Like this is a whole apparatus. Like what is? And then like he goes back and rummages back into his fucking bag under the seat, and he comes back with like the little metal arm that holds the science flask up, and it's like, is he gonna put something under that? Like, just like, it doesn't even matter what the guy's gonna eventually do, just like the fact that there's this much like apparatus involved is just stressing you out. That's what I feel will occur when I pull out a Steam Deck on the plane, because it's so humongous.
Right. To me, the perfect use for a Steam Deck is I am at the location in my hotel room. I will now plug it into the dock and TV. All of this is to say, you don't have that problem with a DS Lite. It fits in your pocket. It looks cool. It could be like a wallet.
Yeah, actually. Okay, so I'm imagining, I'm on the schoolyard. I got my my Steam Deck out. The bullies come. They kick my fucking ass, dude. Now imagine, rewind the tape. The bullies come. I'm not playing a Steam Deck. I'm playing a DS. They say, that guy's playing retro games. Kick his ass. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, no, you got it all wrong. This is my makeup compact. And they're going to be like, understandable, reasonable. Well, carry on, sir. And I'm going to be home free.
Right. Yeah, the Steam Deck really opens you up to bullying, whereas obviously the DS just repels bullies and makes people try to fuck you, right? That was part of the campaign, right?
I don't remember. Yeah, let's say so.
Okay.
All this is to say, like, what a horrible world we live in, where continuing the DS line is like not the right decision financially. And this is why I believe that the DS should be reclassified as a public good. Because in the same way, if like the water works, like I bet it would be more profitable to only sell bottled water and not allow people to have tap water. But like, it is immoral to do that. It is a public good that we must have the right to water. So
let's talk infrastructure. So I'm imagining that when this plan gets rolled out, every neighborhood is going to need a DS repair shop. So this is like, a place you go to get your DS serviced, which, for the record, you get from the government. You get it at the post office. Same place you do postal banking.
This is a jobs program. These are all pension jobs. So you get these jobs, you're set for life.
Yeah. So what happens is you go and, like, for instance, maybe I have my supercard and I'm trying to load it up with a bunch of stolen shit and it's just not working right. Mm-hmm. I would then go to my neighborhood DS repair shop guy and say, hello, I have a bunch of Nintendo content I would like to get onto this device. Can you help me steal it? And the other guy will say, I'm from the government, and yeah.
Yes. At this point, you cannot make a moral argument against this on account of, like we say, they took the eShop down. You couldn't get it if you even wanted to. And if you wanted to get a fucking DS cartridge, well, two things are going to be true. One is you're going to be buying it from a reseller. So there's no way you can use the argument of you're not supporting the devs. Every cartridge you're able to buy has already supported the devs as much as it ever was going to, because it got bought once before.
Why does Japan have I don't want to say robust, but like a thriving like resale scene? Is it because people use it, buy it, and sell it back, and there's like it's not hoarding?
I mean, maybe. I've never been, Joe.
I've seen prices for what people to pay for shit compared to shit that's here, and it's like reasonable. It's what old stuff should cost.
I think it's the awful American brain,
This is an asset. I must sit on this asset.
Yeah. Americans are diseased people. And I'm going to go out on a limb. I might get canceled for this. But I'm going to say the different types of people, different groups, nationalities across the world. Everyone has different areas in which they demonstrate excellence. Americans demonstrate excellence in coming up with tactics for Nazis to use.
We export a lot of those.
Yeah, it's our main thing.
Talking points, all that good stuff. We should
the word
switch.
woke.
Yeah. We should mainly export DSs and DS-related things.
So, well, here's the thing, Joe. Here's why we could never do that. It's why we must exhort Nintendo. We need to fall supplicant to our knees in front of them. Because the Japanese brain, where it derives true excellence, is in the conceptualization and generation of doodads. The DS is like King Doodad.
That is true. That is true. Like, okay, a PS5 is a gizmo.
Boo.
Yeah, and what is a gizmo? A gizmo is something that is complicated and requires you to install something. Laptop, that's a gizmo. Computer, that's a gizmo.
If it's gonna confuse you, if it's gonna be antagonistic towards you,
a gizmo has a learning curve.
Yes. A gizmo is something you say, you stupid gizmo, to a gizmo. A gizmo is you put in your video game and you sit down and go, my few hours to game. I can't wait. And then it's like a downloading update. And you're like, no! Or you buy a new gizmo, the PS5, and then you're like, the PS5 has no games, you stupid gizmo!
Right. An element of the gizmo is its like cutting edgeness, the fact that it is breakneck new technology.
Yeah, and this is what brings in the bullshit, is because it's cutting edge, it's not fucking working right.
Now, compare that to the other type of object, a doodad.
Oh.
A doodad just fucking works.
It's so simple. It's not...
The DS is a doodad.
Yeah, the DS was not, like, bursting with technology no one had thought of before. It's not a powerhouse. It's just, like, it's a little doodad. A gizmo, like I say, a gizmo is something that frustrates you. Its main purpose is to frustrate you. Like, every single sound bar that I've ever seen is a gizmo. Because sound bars, you might think, what is their primary function? Oh, it's to play the sound from a TV that it's connected to. No. The primary function is to not work and get everybody mad as they try to figure out what button to push. That's
I've never
a gizmo.
had a good Bluetooth experience. I am saying now Bluetooth is a gizmo. I know it's a technology, but it's a gizmo technology.
It's a gizmo. You're right. Doodads, they are always sort of a lateral move technologically. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's just like, what if it wasn't a wheel and instead was a DS? And I'm just like, oh shit, that's pretty good. And like a gizmo is confusing. You have to like Joe said, it's a learning curve. You have to figure out the weird idiosyncrasies to get it to fucking function the way it's expected to.
The gimmick with the DS as a doodad is so straightforward. There's two screens. That bottom one is a touchscreen. There's a stylus. That's it. Like, a touchscreen is not a new concept. It's not crazy that it's in there. It's just a collection of elements that just gel.
Yeah. It's... and it's so simple. Like, a way that a doodad brings you joy is you just kind of hold it and fiddle with it. Like, the thing you do with the doodad is you fiddle with it. Mm-hmm. And when I'm playing with the DS, it feels very much like I'm just fiddling with a little toy.
Right.
Non-derogatory. When I'm playing with my Steam Deck, now I love my Steam Deck. I've put so many hours into this thing. I'm playing Final Fantasy X on it as we speak. It's great. I love it. However, like I said, it's a Game Gear ass. It's too thick.
It's a Game Gear and a computer that it doesn't want to work. I think I said this, but when we were in Mexico, I did the most impressive technological thing I've ever done, which is figure out how to get the HBO app on the desktop Linux version of Steam and get that onto the TV. That's gizmo behavior. That's gizmo behavior. And like, yes, I'm glad it had the capabilities to do that. But if it was a doodad, I would not have struggled. I would have moved on with my life.
Yes, a doodad, you would have been, you know what you would have done? You would have opened the clamshell case of your DS, thereby ending sleep mode, and the game would be working. Like it is impressive that the Steam Deck is in fact a computer and can do all these things and has a very wide capability of like what it can do. It can do anything a PC can. Isn't that crazy? So much freedom. Yes, but with freedom is the freedom for it to fuck up and then make me mad. A gizmo behavior.
You don't have to baby a doodad. Like, okay, you're playing your game, and then it's like, all right, I'm done. You just close that fucker, and it's suspended to the point where it was. You can't do that with a Steam Deck, because you have to hit the button and then hope it's actually going to sleep. And also, it costs way more than anything else, so you're inherently kind of babying it.
Yeah. And if I want to put fucking emulation on my Steam Deck, I have to go to like desktop mode, which always feels like I've like it's going backstage. It's like, oh, I'm not allowed to be here. I hope no one yells at me, and I hope this is the right room to go in. I hope no one's changing in here. And like another fucking thing is like when you put the fucking games on your Steam Deck, it's like, all right, now drag them into the right folder, and it's like, with what? The mouse and keyboard that it doesn't have. I have to use the virtual mouse and the virtual keyboard. That's pure gizmo. And then I go online. I'm like, this is so hard. And it's like, simply got a micro USB to USB adapter and put in your wireless USB mouse, idiot. And I'm like, that's another thing. When you look for gizmo help, the only people who are going to help you are people who don't think that the gizmo is confusing, and they're going to be so fucking condescending.
No, the issue is when you look for answers to your gizmo problems, the only people who give you answers are people who think it's a doodad.
Holy shit, Joe. You've opened my eyes. This is it. That's it. That's why it's so condescending.
And they don't understand. There's like a categorical misunderstanding occurring, which is just like, to them, you are like, how do the scissors work?
You put your fingers in both handles, you go up and down, and it's just like, my dumb ass is like, can you define up and down? I don't know it. I've never heard those words. There's a lot of blood. Doodads, dude, and like, I don't know. The Switch, is the Switch a doodad or a gizmo?
It's not. It's not a doodad. I think it's too complex, and this hasn't really been a non-negotiable up to this point, but I am leaning this way now. I think doodads have to fold. I think they have to be clamshell.
I mean, I think I don't know if I agree completely with that. I think you're on the right track. I think what it is like a doodad has to be like you can fiddle with it. Like you have to be able to fiddle with it. And like opening and shutting the clamshell is fiddling with your doodad. You can't really fiddle with the Switch other than taking the Joy-Cons on and off. But that I don't know, that's too much of a process. It's not easily done. It's like
a doodad must be able to be discreet.
Yes. It needs to be simple enough to be fiddled with. You can't fiddle with a Switch. When you're playing a Switch, it doesn't have Game Gear ass. It's not quite as rotund and thick as the Steam Deck, but its footprint is similar. Mm-hmm. Like when you're holding it, your hands are far ass apart, and when you're holding the DS, your hands are really close. It's great. Oh my god! Like I got my 2DS that I got to fucking to pirate shit and play games on, which I gotta say, I love
steal.
Is so the 2DS is even like the biggest. Like it's bigger than the normal DS because it's got more graphical power. That shit still fits in my pocket. Like literally, like I can put it in my pocket and go from room to room. If I want to like take the Steam Deck to the other room, I gotta like haul it with my hands. That's gizmo shit.
Also, it has the battery of like a laptop, the Steam Deck. Whereas you can get like a whole day of use in and out of sleep mode on the regular DS. There is one tweak to our Marshall Plan to bring DSs to every city, is that although this was a 3DS feature, I see no reason why the government issued DSs can't have Street Pass. That was very fun.
I missed this because I didn't have a 3DS until they became like an artifact of a forgotten time. Tell me about this, Joe. What was this like?
There was just like a handful of different games that, based on like who you street passed, you would be able to like send the people you street passed into certain activities or progress in the game. Like there was one game where it was like a haunted house. So like you had different levels of a haunted house, and when you street pass someone, they would come into your game with like a Tetris piece, and you would put down the Tetris piece and it would uncover part of the haunted house. And then you would also do like one-on-one Dragon Quest combat as you went through the haunted house, and there was like type weaknesses and stuff. But all of this is to say, getting on the train was like, oh, I'm going to get a bunch of fucking pieces. Like, it was nice. Like, I think I had a 3DS when I was teaching, maybe grad school. So I was getting on the train like twice a day, going downtown, on a college campus where there's tons of 3DSs. So I was getting like street passed all the time. So it was cool to get to experience all that content like with no limiting factors, because like if you're in the middle of nowhere, you just like don't effectively get to experience that.
This is cool. It incentivizes you to Pokemon go to the polls, and like you get the
but it's passive. That's what
Yes.
that's what rules about it. Like you can always tell when someone is a Pokemon Go freak because they are walking in the devil's way. This is just like you're going about your daily life, and you're gaming secretly.
You open your DS, you fiddle with your doodad a little bit later, and your doodad says, "Hey, did you know you walked by like 50 fucking gaming freaks?"
Yeah.
I'm reading Dead Demons Destruction. I'm rereading it because I the last few volumes I didn't read when I bought them because I realized I don't remember what's happening in the plot, so I wouldn't understand this next volume. So I'm rereading it because it was over, and I'm like, now I'll reread the whole series. Well, it turns out the last volume isn't out in English until next month. Whoops. I'll get it then. The point being, these characters are constantly playing DSs with each other, and it's just like, oh my god, a better world.
Yeah, it had
like, this
wireless
is what I want for everyone.
Multiplayer. That was the other thing. It's that if they are proliferated everywhere, there's going to be so much more wireless multiplayer happening. Do you know how many Mario Kart games are going to break out?
Oh my god, Mario Kart 7 is so goddamn good, dude.
Yeah,
that's the one. Oh, that's another thing. You might be thinking, what's the purpose of a second screen for a Mario Kart game? Well, it has little arrows that show your racing line, and it shows when and how well you fucking drift, so that you can study your line and understand how to drift better.
Yeah, and that like is not that crazy of a like addition to a game. Like, it's a useful idea, but like it's not groundbreaking. But it is so awesome. Such a quality of life.
Just a little every game you play, there's the top part, there's the game, and then there's the bottom part where it's just little treats.
Yes. Yes.
Like, another thing that fucking sucks, another reason that DSs need to be proliferated to everybody, and they need to be supported forever, is that, like, if you want to play Chrono Trigger right now, your options are pay $1 jillion for a SNES cartridge. No. Emulate the SNES version. Or you could play it on the PC where it's a shitty mobile port that they have ported the mobile port onto the PC. Now, what you really want to do if you're a big dick king is you want to play the DS version, which has all the shit from the SNES version. It hasn't been mobilified, but they actually added a bunch of new content, and they improved the translation, and there's a second screen with maps and shit. So you don't have to look at that shit. It's just right there. But you can't. They're trying to keep this from you.
So if you want those, because there's like extra hard dungeons, that's the additional content, I think.
Yeah, I didn't play that shit, but like I don't care.
But if you wanted it, it's not on the PC version, which is like I don't know, the one that has maybe the largest install base. I mean, everyone, it could run on anything at this point.
It's so goddamn dumb. It's so stupid. And Joe, the thing is, like I said, why aren't they making a quick and easy Final Fantasy 17 for the DS? Why don't they make a third Chrono game for the DS? They got all the teams all there. What's fucking Yuji Horii doing these days? Dragon Quest 12? Doesn't seem like it. Where is it? Probably taking forever on account of he's making AAA graphics out of his Toriyamas. Don't do that. Make them pixels. It's so easy. Or actually, not even pixels. The 3DS could make little PlayStation 2 guys. I love those guys. More of them.
Yeah, like sort of low poly-ish, chunky.
Oh, they're so chunky. Where the hand is one big thing with little dark lines that indicate where the fingers are, but it still looks like a big mitten. I want more of that.
And a final point here is you might be thinking, like, Sickos, like, I'm pretty sure the average smartphone is, like, stronger graphically than a DS. My response is, eat shit, nerd. Because phones have all that oomph, and they've been used exclusively to make gacha games. Like, it's really a shame whenever they show the specs on a new phone and they tout some new fucking, like, graphics processor. Because guess what? That's not for games.
Yeah.
Those are not the games that will get consumed.
I remember there was this push a while ago that was like, we need to destigmatize phone gaming. You know? Women play phone games, and women are discriminated against because people think they're not real gamers. Well, women are real gamers because I know there's a lot of women who play games. But they were wrong to try to rope phone games into that because, like, well, okay, you're talking about two different things. Women shouldn't be discriminated against. Women shouldn't be assumed to not play games. However, phone games are not fucking games. Are you kidding me? No.
You can't girl power slot machines.
You can't. And I remember when there was the big thing, it's like, oh my god, they've made a mobile port for Sonic 2 or whatever. It's really good, actually. It's like a great port. I know that, like, this was a good port because the people who made it got tapped to make Sonic Mania, which actually is really good. But the thing about that is I got that because I was like, I'm going to play it. That shit's unplayable on account of touchscreen controls.
A virtual D-pad is awful. Just fucking cut off my pinky like the Yakuza. Just do it.
Yeah, it's like I uninstalled that instantly because I could not think of something less pleasant than gaming on my goddamn phone with no buttons. And also, the phone's a gizmo, folks.
Yeah, also, it's obvious to state it at this point, but the phone is also where work things come through now, so that's a problem.
Yeah. Joe said a horrible thing when we were planning this that I had to, like, re-educate him. I had to struggle session him so he had a correct think, which was something that they could do is if you couldn't think of what to put on the bottom screen could just show your posts. And, well, I don't need to explain why that's fucked up, do I?
Right. Basically, what I had said is, I know we had this really nice plan for the DS, but what if I welcome the devil into my heart? Maybe that'll change things.
I want to be gaming and scrolling on my phone at the same time. What if I put my phone in the game? It's like, no, don't scroll your phone.
Yeah. So I was wrong about that. The DS is a doodad. Are doodads connected to the internet? Are they by nature unconnected devices?
No, I think they can be connected to the internet, but only in the sense that it enables the doodad's funny function. You're not going on, like, Google Chrome on your DS. You're not, like, opening an app on your DS. You're playing Metroid Hunters online. Oh my god. Holy shit. I just had, like, a sense memory. I hadn't thought about Metroid Prime Hunters.
Man, I remember school and everyone being on the bus and playing that. Oh my god, I just my brain.
That game, I can't believe that existed in that form. It was unplayable. How did the control scheme was so fucked.
It was supposed to be like, this device can do first-person shooters. And it's no, it fucking can't.
I mean, I played it a ton. I sucked so bad at it. I was the guy who turned into a little slug when he went into morph ball form. People who played as Samus in multiplayer are like, it's like playing as Mario in Mario Kart. Like, are you nuts? You get to play as Samus all the time.
I think when you're Mario in Mario Party and Mario Tennis, it just shows you're grounded. You just want people to understand that you don't like excess.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, everyone should have a DS. The government should send you one in the mail. And it shouldn't just be America. It should be worldwide. And it breaks my heart that this is not occurring.
Right. And honestly, like, for handheld devices, I'm going to probably make this guess that the Steam Deck is like going to be probably like my forever thing.
Yeah.
And it does make me miss the doodadness of the DS.
Yeah. I can't deny that I love the Steam Deck, but like, it's just not the same. It feels like simultaneously an evolution of the PC and the Chinese Game Boy. You know, you take the Chinese Game Boy, which has been evolving and improving, you take a PC and you sort of mold them together and you create the Steam Deck. That's incredible. However, a doodad, like we said, a doodad requires lateral thinking. It requires sidestepping into Goofy Town. There was no sidestep into Goofy Town.
If they did a re-release of the Steam Deck and there was maybe like a hinge in the middle and you could fold it like a book, now you're talking.
If they make a Steam Deck S,
yeah, sure, why not?
Oh shit, Nintendo's done for. Also, I mentioned that the Japanese mind is incredible at creating doodads, but I only gave one example. So how do you know that it's true? Well, my second example is that shit what killed Shinzo Abe. Doodad Supreme. That
is true. And every time they did a poll afterwards, they were like, turns out it was okay.
Yeah, we don't think that guy should get in that much trouble, actually. You know what? Now that we think about it, he had it coming. Also, that doodad's pretty cool. Does that have a hinge in the middle?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all the time we have for Anime Sickos. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.